whilst I've been running this, like my performance on the moving events, like I've done really well. So I'm just looking for some progressions. I said to you a couple of years ago that I'd rather keep a small list of things and do them better and optimise them over time than do
well, you can bet it's dead complicated, and it doesn't need to be. We're not looking at making you like a sprinter. You know, that's not what this is about. Start off with just driving high knee, then you move on to proper high knees, then you move to a skip, then you go to
and then I go
toe
to that
taps,
one, and then I do
bounce.
the bounce. Start with the high knee walks. So. And then I'll do that, and then I'll usually like get the hands going when or sometimes like today, for instance, like my hips feel really tight and like they just want to go out. So maybe I'll just do a few just like this to like I feel better when I can feel the hip flexors activating, if you will, rather than kind of curve into. So I'll make sure I do that. Pardon me. Before I bring in the hands, because I easily get confused. And then I'll...
Have we started, by the way?
Yeah, it's just rolling, isn't it?
Okay, I'm happy. Okay, we're straight into it. Okay, so when you just need to watch your feet, because there is a tendency, and everyone will do it, they will want to bring the foot up and then get it down as fast as possible, so they'll start pointing the toes down. So if you've got to try and hold that parallel with the ground, as opposed to letting it drop, because you'll feel that a lot more if you hold. So you're not pointing your toe. You're not looking to point your toes to the sky. You're looking to keep that level.
Okay. Is that any different?
That's better. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that feels better actually.
Because you will see a lot of drills when they put them online. All they'll do is they'll say, "Oh, I'm doing high knees," but you'll see the toes. I'm pointing my toes down now, and that feels awkward.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be. You know, your feet should be level, and you should hear that little noise.
Okay.
That little swoosh, swoosh, not now, but when you start to move a bit more dynamic.
So is that a bit better in terms of the feet?
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels a bit more.
That high knee now doesn't look as forced.
Right,
It was like this before, where you were like really big high knee, but your foot was pointing down a little bit.
Right, okay.
So now it
feels easier actually.
That's nicer.
Well.
Yeah, that's much nicer.
Cool. Nice one. Yeah, it feels a lot more relaxed actually. A lot more efficient.
And essentially that's what it is, isn't it? It's about making those efficiencies.
Yeah.
Because you've got the power, you just need to be able to put it down. And that's, even with the runner, when they do their drills, you see it all the time. Even professionals, they put the drills on and say, "Oh, high knees, bum kicks." But then they'll be pointing the feet down. You're like, well, that's not helping anyone. But yeah, if you can try and keep it level, then that'll make a massive difference. So you're looking for like that swish noise. Every time your feet touch the ground, you're not looking to be put toes down. Yeah. It should be.
Right.
So with your knees, as you drive up, you're still looking to extend a little bit.
Right, okay.
So what you're looking to do is when you bring your knees up, you're not looking to get it down as fast as possible. You look to stretch out a little bit.
To reach.
Yeah, and so then you are pushing those hips up. So you start off in that, your starting position is really important.
All right, okay. So your reach.
So there is a little bit of a reach. You're not looking to just get...
Yeah.
But it would just mean that you've got to find that little bit of coordination in there.
Yeah.
You've gone straight into bounds there. So let's go back to high knees. Let's go back to high. That's a bit better. Yeah, you're not looking to reach out that much.
Is that any better?
No. But because you're now thinking, I need to reach out like a...
Yeah, okay.
You're not looking to do... All you're looking to do is just pick up.
Yeah.
And then put it down again. But as you put it down, you should be able to see like a little bit of your front of your toes.
Okay. All right, okay.
That was good. It was coming together towards the end.
that any better?
Get in there. Get in there.
That feels a bit better. I can see my toes in my peripheral vision.
But like, yeah, you are looking to, when you hit that ground,
yeah.
you should be then feeling like you're pushing up. Obviously, you're going to do that a lot. So
yeah.
you are looking to start.
Cool.
Because then in your progression that you turn that into a run. But we don't need to do that. Just got to be careful that you don't end up doing this. So your A-skip is where there's a little hop in between.
Yeah.
So you're then going to hold that high knee pose for a second and a hop, bring it down and then switch. So again, the toe position is really important. You'll see lots of people pointing the toes down, but actually your foot needs to be level. So it's taking that first drill that you did, keeping your feet level, and adding that dynamic from the second drill, but there's going to be a hold in there, which then obviously needs you to be strong in your core and your hips.
Okay.
That was nice. Nice, yeah. Got to work careful that left foot, it's not drifting out. So if you can compare your previous video with this and just look at your feet, and you'll see there is a bit of flexion in there, and that will make a massive difference. You're basically keeping a balloon in the air. Every time your toes come up, you're kicking that imaginary balloon.
Cool. So
this is the one that you can easily then start turning to the side, making it too big. Now, obviously, progression, you can go big, but we don't need to right now.
This is one where I feel like using the calf, like using ankle extension more has really improved. Because it's like holding you accountable to not just using your quads and hips. Whereas I remember when we started, I was just like that, and I wasn't using that spring at all. So and also as well, like my ankle used to be feel really, really stiff, whereas I feel like doing this has really improved the shock absorption.
Yeah. So you get into your starting position. You can even put your hands on your hips if you want to feel that hip movement, because you'll be able to feel as you get fatigued, you don't want to end up down here.
Yeah, okay. And this is the one that I do find the most difficult.
And then if you want to try it again, but this time, hands in the air.
Yeah.
And see how different that feels, because you're then lifting everything up. Extension is you actually then can take it a little bit longer. So instead of it just being toe tap like this, you can actually make it a bit longer, and then longer, and then longer, and then into
bounding. The thing for people starting this out who haven't got a sprinting background, it's like really high impact.
Yeah. There is a stepping stone they can try. Rather than going straight into bounding, it is the more of the elongated hop, where you're starting off, it's not a full-on bound, but you're literally just a...
Cool.
So there is a little bit of a progression there. That's much simpler. So for those who aren't as confident in going full bang, 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 there is a gentler approach, and as you get more confident, you can then start to build it up a little bit. You've got to be careful that it doesn't turn into a hop.
Okay, but so it looks like you're pulling on the ground a lot better.
So you're then drawing on that high knee of when you bring up, you're using that dynamic to push off again. It feels weird for everyone. It's not a case of, oh, that feels nice. It is a weird feeling for everyone. So you are... And again, as you hit like 3 or 4 bounds, you can then turn that into a run.
Yeah. So yeah, in fact, just watching you do that and seeing like when you said about not just hopping, like it felt like I was just kind of jumping in the air, rather than like trying to pull the ground behind me.
Yeah. And that is, you are trying to grab and drag. Yeah. Essentially.
Which that's what I can see so much better with yours.
You want to try and give yourself like a standing start, so you go from this position. You got your back leg that you know is going to be. If you go from a standing start, it does feel like you're looking to really push it through.
Brief summary of the 5 progressions there that we've done, assuming that I'm just the stereotypical strongman. Typical error is you're going to see that people are kind of really strong like this and not much hip flexion, flexibility and strength, and prone to like externally rotating at the hips and going like this. And that's something that I've been consciously fighting against the last couple of years, and I feel that because I've improved at that, that's what's helped me a lot with the moving event. So what would you say as the progressions of each drill?
I think the progression is looking at utilising the strength that people have and actually being able to use that in a straight line. So it's not about being fast runners, it's about using your power and effectively being able to put it down. So feet placing is really important. So I think when we first started, you had a tendency to be out with your feet. Yeah. Obviously when you see some events, people feel more comfortable in going side to side, as opposed to the finish line's that way, not that way. So it's about kind of using the drills that you've got to move effectively forward and not letting those hips sink. Now under load, you're going to naturally go a little bit, so it's about fighting that.
That's it. It's just going to be exaggerated, isn't it? Because you've got the weight exaggerating the error.
But yeah, it's all about making sure that actually when you are under load, that you are effectively moving, and this is what these drills do.
Yeah, I think that's a brilliant point what we just said about think about where the finish line is, and it sounds so obvious, but using that as a cue where you're thinking about every stride reaching towards that finish line, as opposed to, I think most people who do, or a lot of people who do strongman will see this error creeping in as fatigue sets in or as the weight goes up, that they're not reaching towards the finish line. Yeah. And they're going out there, and you're just having to take more steps to cover the same distance. So.
And then you're utilising other muscles that actually don't need to be used for that. So a lot of this is about moving straight line speed and that power that people have and actually being able to put it down. It's like having a massive engine in your car and then not being able to put it down. Yeah. So it's about kind of creating that framework of being able to shift that way instead of having all this power and not being able to use it effectively.
So on the high knees, what was the main thing that I need to work on as a progression?
It was just, again, keeping feet level with the ground, not letting your toes point down. So
I was going like that.
Yeah, so there's an exaggeration of where toes go down. Yeah. And then just trying to as you drag it down. Yeah. Now, obviously, you're going to wear your shoes out a little bit, but you are looking to just drag the ground away.
So as soon as you pointed that out to me, where I was like pointing the toes down, and I got my feet more parallel to the floor, I noticed that the shock absorption per step felt so much better. Yeah. Like just instantly there. So for people who are, like it's very common people doing the moving events, probably same in running where they're getting shin splints or knee or sore feet, ankles getting stiff and stuff. So if you can move and absorb the step more efficiently, then obviously that's going to be helpful. But that was a thing for me, even though I feel like I've improved loads, that was a thing that instantly felt better.
Yeah, it's just careful not overreaching as well. So there is that tendency to think, oh, my knees to be to my chest. It needs to be there. It doesn't need to be any higher, because otherwise you're then going to get to the point where you've got no control. Yeah. So it's about doing that, even that effectively. So like it would be great if you could but then you just turn into a comedy run and your toes start pointing up, which is, so you just need to be making sure that you're in a nice, comfortable position, toes not pointing down, toes not pointing up, and your knees aren't coming up too high.
And then what did you say about that was the thing that I picked up just from seeing your demonstrations actually, was that I noticed that I'm propelling myself across the floor, like kind of just going up and not pulling, like I used the phrase pulling the ground away, that I could clearly see that you were doing. You were exploding up and then dragging the astro backwards.
Yeah, because a running movement is essentially this, down, pull, and then up again. So that's what that replicates.
So it feels like I've focused quite a lot the last couple of years on the hip flexion element, getting that better, and the direct and going more direct to the finish line.
Yeah.
But I think that's going to be the thing that's going to make me faster going forward, is thinking about actually like essentially what you do with your hamstring or whatever to pull the ground back. So that's really good.
Obviously, an add-on to that is then including your heel flicks, if you wanted to, because obviously that is then the final part before you then start that phase again. Heel flick, pull again, heel flick, pull again. So
that can be a way of like cueing you to finish that pull kind of thing.
Yeah.
All right, great.
And then obviously toe taps, very much isolates that calf area.
Yeah.
Again, dragging your hips up. But yeah, it is then about keeping everything in a straight line, not making it big swings, not swinging out to the side, trying to keep your heels and your toes close together, and then just tapping. And then you hear that little tap, 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 tap. That's what you look. You can listen out for that. And then when you hear that, just got to find that rhythm.
Cool.
And then the final one was the bounding, which is the trickier one. You can start off with the hop, the bigger hop, if you don't feel comfortable, and then going from a standing start. If you watch sprinters, their first 5 strides are essentially exaggerated bounds. And so it's that power movement of actually dragging everything forward and actually getting that momentum and moving.
Brilliant.
So
and that's where I noticed on mine compared to yours, and that was great seeing the demo, was you cued me to say, make sure you're not just hopping.
Yeah.
And then I realised that's what I was doing. I was just thinking about forcefully going into the ground to propel me upwards rather than upwards and forwards.
Yeah, people think, I'm in the air, must be moving forwards.
Yeah.
There's a difference between moving in the air and actually.
And that's a good
really
see. You're getting the
forward.
elevation, but you're still finishing with that drag back.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be logically, that's going to speed up my times and make everything more efficient.